Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Gift magical mornings with Nespresso Virtuo Pop. Compact and stylish, Virtuo Pop is made to meet every morning coffee craving. From espresso to coffee, hot or iced, at the click of a button. And celebrate the season with Nespresso's limited edition coffee flavors. Sweet almond and hibiscus, cinnamon and candied tamarind, and festive double espresso. Magic in the making. Shop the holiday gift collection exclusively at Nespresso.com.
This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
And joining us now here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack on the Red Apple Audio Networks and 77 WABC. We are very, very glad to have with us Dr. Jeremy Liff. He is a board-certified neurologist specializing in stroke and brain aneurysms. And Doc, listen, I'm one of those people who needs to talk to a guy like you because, I've had friends who've had strokes. I've had family members, extended family. And, I'm one of those people that will internalize that, walk around and wait for the other shoe to drop for me. And I think stroke is such a mystery and such a scary scenario for so many people that I think anytime it happens to anyone in anybody listening and in any of their, anybody in their universe. I think that's typical. People walk around going, my God, it comes up and it just hits you. You don't even, it's not like cholesterol or, that you got a rapid heart rate. Strokes come from out of nowhere, seemingly. And people seem to walk around in fear. Can you give us a little information about strokes? Tell us what we're looking for. Tell us what are some of the old wives' tales. And basically what I'm asking you this morning, Dr. Liff, is please just help me get to sleep and not think about this too much. So welcome to the show, Dr. Liff. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. That's maybe a tall order. I'll do my best. Well, yeah, you're right. Actually, if you look at the history of even the term stroke or the diagnosis, it comes from the idea that it's like a bolt from the blue. Wow. Because before we knew anything about what it was, it just seemed that people out of the blue were struck down by a painless paralysis, and that's how it was described. So it is extremely scary. And despite the fact that, despite the best efforts of large organizations which have been successful in decreasing the frequency of stroke within our population, it's still by far the number one cause of disability in the country. Wow. Just simply because a stroke makes you neurologically disabled a lot of times in a way that sometimes heart attacks don't. So it certainly can be a very scary thing, but there are many ways that you can try to decrease your risk and make yourself healthier so that it does not happen to you.
And now, listen, from what I understand, and these kind of statistics are, if I just wonder who sits there and pores over the numbers to give us statistics like every 40 seconds, someone in the United States has a stroke. But hey, look, stats are stats. And that adds up to nearly 800,000 strokes every year. And the number that strikes me is about 610,000 of those are first ever strokes. So tell me, you just said, there are ways to prevent strokes. Do me a favor. Let's go 1 and 2, and I'll just get out of your way and let you talk your expertise. How does one avoid strokes? What are some of the best ways to live your life? And then if you just go ahead and segue yourself into what is it that we're looking for? What are the warning signs of a stroke? So how do we prevent, but in the worst case scenario, what are we looking for, Doc?
Sure. So you can think of stroke, basically you're not getting enough blood flow to a part of the brain.
Okay.
And there's two main reasons that can happen. One is that the blood vessels themselves have become diseased, and the other is that the heart has gotten sick or weak or into a rhythm that it's going to eject a blood clot to the brain. So the first thing with blood vessels getting disease is the risk factors that cause those things to happen. And if you can control those or treat those, you'll be in good shape. I'd say the number one thing is blood pressure by far. You must keep your blood pressure controlled either through diet and exercise and or medication via your doctor. Insulin resistance, eating too much sugar, leading to metabolic dysfunction, leading to diabetes, and ultra-processed foods is a major, major issue in our society and affects the blood vessels throughout the body, including the ones that go to the brain. Fortunately, the next major risk factor is not something that we see as much anymore, but it's still quite prevalent. That would be smoking.
Right. Sure.
That used to be, it still is a major one, of course, but that is about as bad as it gets in terms of harming the blood vessels in your body would be smoking. And then sort of to direct to younger people, vaping is not good either. And we're learning more and more that it is causing vascular disease as well.
Right.
So, those are the things that you need to avoid, and then exercise, getting your heart rate up in a healthy way, and a predictable way, and a regular way, and a frequent way is the best way to try to keep your arteries from getting narrow from atherosclerotic disease. And then the second thing is the second major one is the heart, and that involves regular checkups with your doctor and EKGs and things that they can, and cardiologists if you need them, to make sure that if you do have those heart issues that you're being treated correctly so that it does not cause a blood clot to go to your brain.
Right. Right. So again, we're talking to Dr. Jeremy Liff. He's a board certified neurologist as we head towards through the holidays, and into the new year, perhaps. And it just occurred to me as we're talking here, perhaps people can file this conversation on Another Side of Midnight, file it under New Year's resolutions. You know what I mean? Especially fellas, right, Doc? Because, something that comes up on this show a lot, and we cover everything here. We talk about all sorts of things, but a lot of times, as a guy who used to live in a very, very sort of closed way, I've learned to live out loud, and I've learned to say things that are on my mind. I've learned to go to the doctor. I've learned to look after myself, and I encourage other fellas. It's important for fellas my wife will feel an ingrown nail and she will schedule an appointment with 3 specialists. She goes to the beach once and her and my daughters are at the dermatologist. Guys, no news is good news. So generally speaking, we don't go to the doctor. It's important that we do. So, I'm filing this conversation under New Year's resolutions. Let's all gear up for 2026. So, Dr. Liff, what are I'll just go right into this. For the hypochondriacs in the audience, what is it that one is looking for, when it comes to the signs of a stroke? And I understand it doesn't always mean it. I know we're not giving out gospel truth. If you feel a twinge over here, it's not always a stroke. But what are some of the classic symptoms where people need to get to a specialist?
Sure. So I think the key with stroke symptoms is that it is a sudden onset and generally painless of some sort of dysfunction that came out of the blue that you didn't have 5 minutes ago. So things like slurring of speech or drooping of one side of the face or loss of function of one hand or even one side of your body or quick or immediate changes in your vision, or you're walking like you're drunk where you weren't 3 minutes ago.
Wow.
And it kind of came out of the blue and there's not a lot of pain associated with it, but it's definitely something that's off with you. Those are the warning signs of stroke, and those are the things that need to warrant immediate medical attention, because we have some treatments to actually treat the stroke itself.
Yeah.
But they all are dependent upon time and timeliness of seeing the doctor.
And now, and Dr. Liff, again, we're talking to Dr. Jeremy Liff, a specialist in stroke and brain aneurysms, here on Another Side of Midnight, 1-800-848-9222. Doc, I think in the last 10 years, we've all gotten that comforting news that there are so many more things that can be done to address a stroke. And it is followed up all the time by, the fact that time is of the essence. And without exception, I have never heard a story of someone surviving, recovering fully from, and I'm hearing a lot more of that. We're hearing a lot more about full recovery from a stroke. So what is it? Give us an example of what can be addressed, and what are some of what would be 1 or 2 methodologies to treatments that are available within a short period of time if somebody can get to a treatment center? What are some of the examples that can be done today that maybe weren't available 15 years ago, 20 years ago?
There's 2 main treatments, the actual treatment of the stroke itself. The first one is to give a medication in your IV and to essentially, which is either TPA or TNK. They're very similar medications. They essentially bust clots up. So the medication goes just from your veins to the point of the clot and allows the clot to dissolve.
Right.
If that doesn't work, and that has to be done within, at maximum, 4.5 hours of the time that your stroke started. So if you take a nap, you're probably not going to be eligible for that.
Right.
The second one, especially in the bigger ones, is that a surgeon can take a catheter and actually go into your brain with a catheter, locate the clot, and then remove the clot either by sucking it out or dragging it out with a special tool or both. And that, if that is done in a timely fashion in the correct circumstance, which the expert will know whether or not it can be done, then you can potentially have an enormous, almost miraculous recovery But again, it's not something that you wait for. You must get it. But that technology has improved, as you said, over the past 10 to 15 years, and in some ways it's sort of a modern-day miracle.
Dr. Liff, if someone is calling 911 and they feel they feel that based on what they're hearing from you or what they'll read and just general knowledge, if they believe they are experiencing or potentially experiencing a stroke, it sounds like it's really important to articulate that to the best of one's ability, if they can even articulate, oddly, to the 911 people, is to say, because that way, and also I would imagine too that first responders are very well trained to identify a stroke situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do education, and EMS is amazing, and the 911 operators are amazing, and we do education all the time. There are some formal scales that they can use, and then there's also their general training of understanding that the person that's on the phone right now may actually be having a stroke. Maybe that's why they're not being clear as to what's going on, but the first responders are just as important as anybody else because they are the ones who are bringing the patients to the timely care that is required. But yeah, and 911 really is your best bet, because even just trying to go see your doctor, the doctor can't really help you in an acute stroke situation. It needs to be done in the hospital.
Right.
But yeah, the first responders are amazing and they're highly trained.
Dr. Liff, I had a friend of mine who is a public figure who was driving on a highway. This person is, I don't believe they're even 40 yet. If they're 40, they're 40. I honestly, I don't think they are yet, but put them in their age range of 38 to 41. Peak health, someone who is actually, in the reserves of a branch of the military. I mean, literally peak physical condition. And was driving along the highway, and next thing he knew was just driving to the left against the guardrail, couldn't stop his car. Eventually the car grinded to a stop along the guardrail, and he was in the front seat of the car. The state troopers, this was in New York, state troopers were able to get in front of his car, stop the car. He later recounted to me that he heard them talking. He heard them. He couldn't answer them. Of course, this was a stroke. He had slurred speech for the next 12 hours. Dr. Liff, this guy is absolutely 1,000% recovered. He found himself in a hospital. From the sound of that, just again, I know you're 40,000 feet away listening to my little anecdote there, but when you hear something like that, with those couple of symptoms, couldn't speak, could hear them talking, couldn't answer. When he did answer, it was complete gibberish. Exactly how dire was his situation?
It sounds like it was quite dire, and the fact that he had also crashed his car to one side, and perhaps may or may not have been aware of it. It sounds like what he was having would fall into the category of a large stroke or a large vessel occlusion, where a main artery is blocked.
Wow.
And that is a dire one, but that's a situation, and I don't know if your friend had a procedure or anything like that.
Yes, I believe he did, yeah.
But yeah, that's the type of thing where you sometimes your best bet is just get to the hospital, and I guess, the troopers are able to help him, because that is a dire situation. If that clot is left there, that's permanent, life-altering disability. And thank God your friend, it sounds like he's back to it's just a tremendous story.
Doctor, when I tell you back to normal, it is as if he hadn't even stubbed his toe. This guy was and again, it was like about 12 to 24 hours. And I believe, within 10 hours he was texting people. It wasn't all very clear and perfect, but he was, but anyway, yeah, it was definitely, a scary thing. But again, you hear more and more and more, Doc, about people surviving and full recoveries. And, let me ask you this. We're hearing great things about AI. In terms of saving lives, in terms of identifying cancer, in terms of finding tumors and things at the molecular level that the most trained eye and the best microscope aren't going to find. Does artificial intelligence I would imagine there are some things on the horizon that AI potentially could contribute in your realm.
It's actually interesting. We already use it. Some of the advanced scans that we get to locate where the clot is prior to doing a procedure. The advancements in the scans and using AI to locate the clot, to quantify the amount of blood flow that still can be saved versus the amount of blood flow that cannot be saved, and deciding whether to do the procedure, and picking all of these things up quickly. We're actually employing it already, and it's really revolutionized the field. Most of the studies that you see now in stroke are based on certain AI computations that we do immediately when the patient comes into the emergency room. So we're already utilizing it. Obviously, in the future, it's going to be even more, not just for stroke, but for aneurysms and other things like that. But yeah, it's absolutely been a game changer within our field as well.
Wow, I'm glad I had that thought. Wow, I feel particularly smart right now. We're talking to Dr. Jeremy M. Liff. He is a board-certified neurologist specializing in stroke and brain aneurysms. Here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick, 1-800-848-9222. And let me for the conspiracy theorists in the audience, and there's about 9 of them. And look, you can absolutely poo-poo it, dismiss it. Nobody's asking you to put your accreditation on the line or anything like that. But I'm just curious, generally speaking, there's a lot of people that that have been like when my friend had that incident. When that was going around our circles, more than a few people said, that damn COVID shot. That's what it was. He's as healthy as an ox. It was the COVID shot. He had the booster. And that's going around. It's still going around. And anytime a professional athlete has some sort of episode, people right away, boom, COVID shot, healthy as an ox. Is there anything to that, or is the jury still way out for some time on the veracity of those theories and amateur notions about the COVID jab?
It's a good question. I don't think there's been anything definitive that's been put into data. I think anything that you see is generally anecdotal or story by story. I will say that there's no question that when COVID itself was at its worst in, let's say, the winter of 2020, so many more young patients were having strokes because COVID itself is such a disease that it was we now know is a disease of the blood vessels. Right. That in any inoculation that, of course, COVID mostly was an mRNA. The COVID vaccine was an mRNA vaccine. It's certainly not beyond the realm of possibility to think that some of the side effects that one would get from COVID may be overlapping with the inoculation. And yeah, I think the most important thing from my standpoint would be to be totally open-minded about, all of the possibilities. But I don't think that there's been anything that's been borne out in the literature to be definitive about it, but I wouldn't say yes or no.
You know what? I tell you, it's great to hear a doctor of your stature. It's great to hear you say keep an open mind. Talking about your colleagues, your counterparts. That is actually cool because, I would, there are definitely some who just immediately dismiss and poo-poo, that sort of notion. But it's very refreshing and gives me great confidence to hear a doctor like yourself say, hey, look, we have to absolutely be completely open to any data that comes down the pike. That's great to know that you and your colleagues do approach things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I in general, I think like a lot of the things that we're certain about in medicine have come from not just the last journal article, but 50, 60, 70, 100 years of practice and theory and watching it evolve. I don't know that anybody should be certain of anything that's taken place over 5 years.
Right.
So that's just sort of the way that I approach it. And I don't, that's honestly the truth of the way that I approach things. And I don't need to, go to one side or the other. Patients ask me the same thing when I'm in the office, and I try to give them the best answer. But sometimes the answer, honestly, is we don't know. Yeah. And it's better to say that than to just sort of make something up.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Liff, I do hope that this is the first of several visits. I would love to keep you close by and hold on to you as a resource for Another Side of Midnight. You can never have too many experts, especially when it comes to health and well-being. And so let's stay close. And I'd love to have you back on Another Side of Midnight. Dr. Jeremy Liff, I'm really grateful for your time this morning on Another Side of Midnight.
Absolutely. I'd love to come back, and thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Definitely. We'll talk to you again soon, and have a great holiday.
All righty. You too.
Thanks.
It's Another Side of Midnight, 77 WABC.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Payne Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. One of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. Mm-hmm. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.